What is good? What is up? It's Jordan or Texans Thoughts, and I'm back with another film breakdown. Today, we're going to look at the Jags game, and I'm going to show y'all the differences in Bill O'Brien's play calling and Tim Kelly's, and boy, are there some big differences that can improve this offense. Also going to look at how Tyrell Adams improved the run defense, and the GOAT, Jacob Martin's impact as well. So if you enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. Now, let's break down the film between the Texans and the Jaguars, because the film don't lie. The first thing that I noticed was that Tim Kelly involved more pre-snap motion, and on the offense's first 4 plays, they all had some sort of motion. Whether it's a run or a pass, motion can help Deshaun ID what the defense is in and get us into an advantageous play call. Bill O'Brien, for whatever the reason, was not a fan of motion, and he almost only used motion this season on that one RPO play I've broken down time and time again. But Kelly understands how it can make the job easier for the offense. He used motion heavily early on in the game, and it only really waned off throughout the game as our offense went more no huddle quite often. And with no huddle, you're trying to go fast, and often you don't use motion whatsoever. And so running more no huddle was another thing I like. It keeps Watson in rhythm and allows the offense to capitalize on mismatches. But let's focus on the motion, and on this play, you're going to see how it creates an advantage for us. So Stills is going to motion over, and this creates a bunch formation. Now you can see this safety is in off coverage, a good 10 yards off. However, it's 3rd and 4, so that's just way too much space. In addition, we've got these 2 routes breaking inside, and so that brings these defenders inside and creates even more space to the edge for Stills to work with. Good offenses create easy throws, and there were definitely a lot more easy throws versus the Jags than we've seen all season long. Here's another one for you. David Johnson starts out wide, but then motions to the backfield. Then he motions again, running out to the flat. This is all to get Fuller a one-on-one on the outside for a slant, which he can easily win. But let's try and imagine this play without the motion. If David stays right here like he was pre-snap, then his defender stays here as well, and that makes it a tighter window and a tougher throw. Obviously not impossible, but again, we want as many easy throws as possible, and that's what they are finally doing for Deshaun. Another positive that comes with more motion is how it can help Deshaun ID blitzes. We've been getting killed by blitzes in the early part of the season, but this was by far Watson's best game of his career IDing blitzes. Him showing that ability the first game after Bill O'Brien was fired? That's not a coincidence to me. Look at when Cobb motions over. Watson is screaming a bunch of stuff, I don't really know what he's saying, but his control of the line of scrimmage is really evident. And I'll get to more of that later, but at this last second he points to the right, because he knows that's where the blitz is coming from. It gets picked up, Cobb runs the quick crosser, and that's easy money. Watson has struggled throughout his career with the blitz, but I was really encouraged with what I saw Sunday. Here's another example of him IDing it, and you can see he points out number 26. He knows where the blitz is coming from and gets himself protected well. The biggest takeaway for me is that Deshaun has more control of the offense at the line of scrimmage. Tim Kelly is letting Watson fully take over when Bill O'Brien wouldn't. I saw this mainly through how many pre-snap audibles Watson would make. He completely changed the play at least 6 times by my counting in this game alone. And just ask yourself, how often have you seen him do that over his entire career? Not very often. Now look at Watson ID the nickel blitz, something I've even gotten on him about. But he changes the play, makes sure that Cobb is the hot read, and cuts his route off short, and therefore he gets easy yards. This ability to change up the play call to beat the defense's weak point is the sign of an elite quarterback. Here on 3rd and 1, originally the offense is in a 5-wide passing play, but Watson notices there's only 6 Jags in the box, and thus audibles into a run play to take advantage. Even though the running game hasn't been great this season, he puts trust into his teammates and empowers them to get the job done. That's leadership. My favorite example of him audibling the offense though came on the Darren Fells touchdown. He notices that the defense is in cover 3 as indicated by the single high safety, and so he dials up a concept to attack this box safety and this linebacker. He has Stills run a curl and Fells run a post, and these defenders are going to bite on the curl, leaving Fells open behind them. He even sells it well by looking at Stills first, manipulating the defenders with his eyes, but what he really wants is Fells behind them. And look, even Stills knows that's 6. The ability to dissect what the defense is in and how to beat that look is really awesome to see. And he does it again against the exact same look later in the game. Same cover 3 look, and he has the same curl post concept dialed up. This time, look at the linebacker and safety back up a couple steps. They know in their mind to look out for the post because of that touchdown earlier in the game. But now that leaves the curl open and Deshaun gets an easy 5 yards. Deshaun was really able to show off his smarts now that Bill O'Brien isn't handcuffing him, and on this audible, he sees that the safety is backing off of Cooks and he tells him to run a speed out. The speed out is a 5-yard out that you just want to run as fast as possible. It's going to look a bit rounded because you can afford to run it not as sharply because of all that cushion. It's a good call by Watson to get easy yards yet again, and it would have worked if it wasn't batted down at the line. Here's the last audible I'm going to show, and it illustrates how Deshaun understands mismatches. The Jags are in a single high look, and so Watson wants to go deep. He checks us into a smash concept where Cooks runs a slot fade and David Johnson runs a curl. Because they are to the field side, they've got the space for a slot fade to work. David's curl is going to keep this defender down in the flat, and Cook has so much space to work, especially with there only being one safety deep. I love seeing Watson have the freedom to change things at the line, and man, with Bill O'Brien gone now, I really think we're going to see more of this. Deshaun is free. The other thing I noticed about the offense is that there's more play action. I've broken down how the Texans love to run Yankee concept for their deep shots at midfield, but that's basically the only concept they would run with their deep shots under Bill O'Brien. But Tim Kelly has more options, and you can see Fuller on a deep out here, that's money. Often Watson wouldn't have an intermediate option on these play actions, so it was either super deep or nothing at all. I like how we're attacking different levels of the field off of play action. I'll never really understand why Bill O'Brien hated play action. I mean, you can see here how it sucks in the linebackers, even though our run game wasn't good, and that opens up all the space over the middle of the field. And defenders need all the help they can get to guard Fuller, but using play action gives him more one-on-one opportunities, again, creating easier throws. The other thing I liked about the play action game is how that allowed us to get Watson on the move, out of the pocket. Look at this laser of a throw by Watson, leading Fuller inside and away from the defender. The ball placement was absolutely perfect on this one. You know, the O-line, they held down their business in terms of pass protection all day long, only allowing 1 sack. But I like how Tim Kelly still had us move the pocket and make the O-line's life easy. Just because the O-line was playing well doesn't mean you can't make their job even easier, and here we finally see a bootleg for what seems like the first time since Deshaun's rookie season. It's one thing to call a bootleg, but look at the design of it. Cobb starts to block to the left following the flow of the run, but then sneaks out to the right as the defense starts to forget about him. Again, easy throws left and right for Deshaun, and that's a recipe for success. Another thing I noticed, and it still wasn't enough, but they look to scheme the running backs open. On this first one, they're going to have Fuller run a pick for David Johnson. I've screamed for us to run more picks to beat man coverage, and look at all the space Johnson has because his defender runs into another Jaguar. Watson needs to make a better throw, but man, that's as open as you can get. Need to see more of this, and especially with Duke Johnson. On this one, the Texans are in a 2 tight end set, and they're essentially going to clear out space to the side of the field to open things up for Duke. The Jags are going to cover 3, and Pharaoh Brown, he's going to force this linebacker to cover him deep, and Fells is going to stem upfield and out to force this safety to guard him. So there's only 2 zones to this side of the field, but 3 routes. And so you can see how much open space Duke has, and he gets the first down because of it. That's just easy yardage. The last thing I want to talk about with the offense is how they were able to feed the hot hand. Tim Kelly, Rack, and Deshaun each talked about in their pressers the connection Watson had with Cooks. And when he was cooking early, they wanted to continue to get him the ball, leading to his best game of the season. He was beating up on whoever was in front of him, and the biggest thing I took away from this game was how Watson said there were times throughout the season that he would make his read, and Cooks just wasn't there, but versus the Jags, they were on the same page, and he was there when he needed him. This offense has so many option routes, and I don't expect those to completely go away with Tim Kelly taking over. But with each additional game, Cooks and Watson are going to get on better and better pages together, and when everything in this offense clicks, they are scary. The pass protection is great here, Cooks does great to keep running to open space, and Watson makes a good read, while also staying calm and composed in the pocket, trusting the O-line to hold up, and trusting Cooks to get open, a trust he didn't show earlier in the season. Now, moving on to the defensive side of the ball and holding the Jags to 14 points, I was pretty happy with that. Our offense finally not shooting ourselves in the foot was a big part of that, our improved run D was a big part of that, and our 2 forced turnovers was a big part of that too. So let's look at the GOAT, Jacob Martin's beautiful strip sack on Minshew. Martin, he has dangerous speed, and he attacks the outside of the tackle by bursting off the snap. The tackle has to respect it, or else he'll get blown by, and then Martin throws his go-to move, the cross chop. where he chops down with his inside hand and aims it at the outside hand of the tackle. It doesn't connect well though, and at this point Martin knows he can't win the edge. So he's not stubborn and continue to try and win. Instead, he throws the counter move by spinning back inside. Minshew tries to scan downfield and never sees the GOAT coming. Man, he hit him with some velocity too to get the ball out. That's just a picture perfect sack, and Martin played 47% of the snaps, his most all season. And it's really not a coincidence that he had his best game. Give the GOAT more snaps. He deserves it. He makes plays rushing off the edge, and he makes plays in the run game too. Here, he has to deal with 2 blocks and doesn't give up much ground. He creates traffic here and gives the interior defensive lineman time to win backside. There's no more excuses to not play him. Anthony Weaver, keep increasing his snaps because he deserves it. And so like I said, our run defense was a bit improved. James Robinson and the Jags offense were running the ball well before this Texans game, and even after their first 4 runs, they totaled 33 yards. It was looking good for them. But their next 16 runs, including scrambles, only totaled 25 yards. That's a ridiculous improvement, and we played a lot more disciplined football. But one man who made a difference was Tyrell Adams. Filling in for Benardrick McKinney, he did admirably, and the major skill set he showed was an ability to defeat blocks. As a Mike linebacker, that's his biggest role in the run game, and we're going to need to continue to see that going forward. On this one, everyone does their job decently well. JJ sets the edge well, squeezing the alley, Dunn fights down, Blacklock does well to squeeze between the tackle and guard, and the GOAT closes any cutback lane. All of these guys funnel Robinson right into Adams, who does great to get off the block and hold this to just 4 yards. More good block shedding on the 4th down. This fullback, he's got to block Adams, but he doesn't just let it happen. He's too quick, and he also hits him with a stiff arm to avoid the block. Adams just makes plays, man. He seems to almost always be in the right place at the right time. Adams also showed good gap discipline, which is something that BMAC struggled with at times this year, and really our entire defense has struggled with as a whole. We need to stay disciplined versus the Titans though, because they are a completely different monster than the Jags. But here, the Jags are going to motion a wide receiver over, and Adams doesn't bite. Then after the snap, they're going to motion another tight end over, but he still doesn't bite. He's responsible for this A gap, and look how quickly he goes down to fill it. I love how quickly he attacks the gap, just doing his job and making the simple play. Again, here we see Adams with good discipline and making a quick read. The Jags are going to have 2 pullers, and if you watched my Steelers breakdown, you know that pullers killed us all day long. Well, Adams reads it quickly and shoots behind the puller. He's got the short area speed to make the tackle for loss, and these high impact plays, these tackle for losses, they go a long way for helping our run defense. I also like Adams' hustle. He plays with heart, man. And on this one, he's going to bite on the play action, but then look at him hustle back into the play to make the tackle. And I get that it's a big gain, but this is the type of effort I love to see. Now, I'm not saying that Adams is perfect. He did get burnt in coverage for the touchdown, but I do like what I see, and I don't think that there will be too big of a drop off between him and BMAC. I think he'll be decent. However, this is a 1 game sample size, so it's kind of hard to tell what we're going to really get out of him. Next week will be a big test, so that's when we can really get behind the Tyrell Adams hype train, is if he balls out next week. Alright, that's going to do it for the video. If you enjoyed, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. Huge shout out to all the Texans Thoughts team members, and if you guys want some more Texans content, check out Texans Unfiltered. We've got a website, podcast, and YouTube channel. All that good stuff will be linked below. Alright, take care everyone, and remember, the film don't lie.